Hello, Billy Ray Huzzy here with Southern Folk Pottery Collector Society, and we're going to talk just a few moments here about our catalog sale number 62, which is in progress at the moment, and we'll talk more about that in just a few seconds. But for right now, we've got a rare opportunity here to talk about Dave Drake, Dave the Slave, the Edgefield potter, known for mostly his poems, his large vessels. And we have opportunity here to look at a timeline, which is really interesting to have these three pieces in one sale at one time, with the diversity of Dave's age and his owners, his shops that he worked at, and ultimately the end of his career. So at any moment, let's focus on these pots here and the characteristics of them. Okay, this 2-handle jar here, and there's a little controversy about it, but I think we're going to be in the right category to go with this. This is an iron slip that Dave used, and Colin Rhodes used it in his 2-color clay. Phoenix Factory used it in their 2-color clay decorations. This horseshoe right here is the characteristics of Dave, and we think it might be associated with the Big Horse Creek area where he was at. He was born about 1800, and he was in the ownership of Samuel Landrum that early, which is Samuel's 1800. We think Dave was born about 1800 or 1801. Dave used gallonage, and many of the slave potters did piercings, punctuates to distinguish their gallonage capacities, but Dave made configurations of them, and here's like a squared 4 with a 1 piece beside of it, which would have been 5. So we think this may be some of the earlier pieces of Dave, possibly in the late 1820s or early 30s. A little controversy about this clay slip. All right, another piece here that deals with another part of Dave is, we think this may have been made with Abner Landrum time frame. And just for a moment, want to reflect on Harvey Drake. He and his brother Reuben operated several operations, partnerships with some of the different businessmen in Pottersville. But there's a letter that was in the exhibition from the McKissick in the late 1990s, which we'll talk about in a moment, that said Dave was about 18 years old. 18, 19, so he would have been about 18 years old, working for Harvey Drake. And we think Harvey may or may not have taught Dave to make large vessels. One thing about Dave's work is these double collar necks, which are associated with Edgefield pieces. Dave made a sharp lower collar and a top collar that flared out just a little bit, and they'll flare out a little more than this one is, but this, and he made a flat handle. And if you go back over to this jar, when he put these lug handles on, he would take his finger and go back up under here to push them up so that they could be gripped by the fingertips. He was pretty smart. He was a very gifted potter. And in about Drake died in 1832, and I think this had something to do with Harvey Drake's training, because very well potted. And here's another one of the configurations of Dave's gallonage piercings. There's a 5, the squared 4, and the 1 there made 5. And we think this might have been in the before Harvey Drake died, so this is probably in the 1830s, more likely 1820s, 30s. And you say, well, why? But the different glazes, this is more alkaline, this is more iron slip. Then we've got another piece here that say he was 18 in his late teens, could have been in his late 20s, 30s time frame. And then here is some of the last stuff that's dated. This is an 1864 piece, which was at the end of the Civil War, obviously. Dave's push-up out of the handles, little raised collar neck on his jars, his LM, where he was in the household of Lewis Miles, which I think was Reverend John's son-in-law, if I'm not mistaken, and he was in Lewis Miles' shop for many, many years. He gave him the credit for LM. The date here, which is March, can't read it, March 31st, 1864, with Dave. and there's a pair of slashes on the back, on the shoulder. There's also a pair of marks right here, and they use these. A lot of people think they were production marks. They could have very well been. They could have been distinguishing the slave potters that was in shops for a while. Maybe they loaned them out at different times. But at any rate, it's interesting to see the time frame here that he would have been in his late 60s at this point, in his late teens here, and possibly in his 20s here. And also, the Metropolitan in New York did a show recently, an exhibition that traveled. It may still be traveling to this date. I'm not real sure about that. But they focused on Dave as well as the other slave potters, who are, a lot of research is going on to try to distinguish them. This piece here was in the traveling exhibition from the McKissick in the late 90s that traveled nationally. It's photographed in this catalog. It's photographed actually twice, but there it is right there on page 32. I have to get my eyes to adjust there a minute. Page 32. So it's in the exhibition catalog that travels. This is a third piece of works that we have sold in that exhibition. Here's our catalog that we're currently working on with the Dave here on the front cover, as well as an Alamance County decorated plate from about the late 1700s. We have an Edgefield face jug that's associated with a potter that may have worked at the Thomas Davies shop. We'll talk about a little later in another video. And a Harvey Reinhardt and a Kenner piece from Strasbourg. That's a rare marked picture. So anyway, and some other pieces there on the back cover. Fully illustrated color. And it runs until March 14th to get your bids in. So anyway, I hope this helped you a little bit with a little survey of looking at Dave's works, his transition in age, and even at his later dates, he was still a very accomplished potter to control a piece this large, which is about a 5-gallon. All right, thank you for the time, and give us a call, 336-581-4246, or check out our web page and information on the internet. All right, I thank you for your time. Appreciate your patience. Bye now.